All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Between Two Teachers. This is a place where we talk about and share um, educational issues from all over, near and far, and hopefully bring you a lot of best practices because that's our goal here. We want to make sure we're improving education. So, my name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg. And as we do every week, we will begin with our land acknowledgement. And we pause to acknowledge that we're gathered on the ancestral territory of Hui Chin, part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karken speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region, give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland, and offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present. And we continue to support the justice for the Muwekma Ohlone people who still have not been recognized as they are not a federally recognized tribe, and they deserve to be included as a federally recognized tribe to be able to get the benefits of that designation. So we continue to support their efforts. This week for us, we're going to talk about, well, first of all, let me also encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and to this to this episode as well. So we would really appreciate that as we look to grow between two teachers. The first thing I wanted to talk about is this week, there's been a lot of discussion around higher education. And for us, when you look at K-12 and where it's going, one of the things that's happening is that the American public is becoming dissatisfied with the results of and what they have to pay for a college education. So the consequence of that is that fewer people are applying, right? And it does make a big difference. Everybody's rethinking college. And it's one of the reasons that community colleges now are rethinking whether or not there should be any cost to them, right? And certainly for us here in the Peralta district, Laney had been the first one to be free for fall. So the next one to be free for fall was Berkeley City College. And what hasn't happened yet is that the other local colleges have in the Contra Costa County have yet to, as far as I can see, or I haven't yet to see an announcement from them saying they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely a best practice for them because, and I can understand people being disgusted with higher ed, the loans that you have to take out to complete, and then you have this crippling debt. The community college has always been the best place to get your, freshman, sophomore year
right,
and it's cheap, live at home, etc. So the fact that they're making it free, that's just wonderful. And yes, Contra Costa Community College District needs to take note.
They do. They really do. I mean, I'm surprised that they know that their neighborhood district. Why would potential students are going to notice that there's a difference?
Yeah, and they're going to make choices with their feet, with their cars.
They aren't. And anyway, it's something that they all should look at very, very seriously, and obviously some of them have. And for everybody, I mean, that's the whole thing. But the important thing to me was that they included students who weren't full-time. So if you were a part-time student in the past, you were not eligible for any of the tuition breaks. And many times you're a part-time student because you're working.
Right.
So they're punishing their part-time students. There's always been an implicit bias against part-time students because they were the ones that would never get a break.
Yeah, but this includes them now,
This
right?
includes them.
Okay, good.
This
good.
includes them. That was my favorite part about this, because
Yeah,
there were a lot of opportunities for everybody else, but never for the part-time student. And the part-time student finally got included. So I hope they continue to include part-time students and recognize that part-time, there's a reason you're a part-time student. There's a reason, and it may take you longer, but it's your life situation. And, instead of judging them and saying, no, you have to be full-time, support them. So there's that. Schools have started to reopen, and that's happening all over the country. Now I think there's probably maybe half of the schools in the United States that are opening. In the Northeast, there's a general prevalence to open after Labor Day. So those schools are still, everybody's still on vacation there, but certainly as we go across California, the rest of the country, we're opening. And we're all struggling with the teacher shortage. We're struggling with all these many issues that we've talked about here a number of times. And you have to talk about teacher retention. You have to talk about all of your issues around teachers. And one of the best practices in California and around the country, really, is educator housing. And they're exploring that now in a new venue that's new to the conversation, and that's Humboldt. Humboldt County is now looking at building educator housing.
yeah. We've looked at that before, haven't we?
Yep.
So there's places that are moving on that.
Right.
Interesting to see if it's attracting teachers. I'm sure it is. And because why wouldn't it be? I mean, especially here in California, Bay Area, this is awesome. And West Contra Costa needs to pick up on it also. We have
They
a
do.
lot
They
of
absolutely
unused-
do. I mean, Berkeley's doing it.
Yes.
This is the thing. It's not like it's not happening next door. It's happening, and it's happening all over in communities that are high cost of living communities. If you're not a high cost of living community, you don't need to think about it. It's not an issue for you, really. If your teachers are paid at the highest level of pay, and in some states it's true. In some states, because the rest of the cost of living is lower, it's not as much of an issue. But even in Montana, where I've been looking at things lately, in Big Sky, one of their most affluent communities, they built teacher housing.
I'll be darned. Wow.
Big Sky, Montana built teacher housing.
So it's not a unusual thing. This is a more common practice.
It's a smart idea for recruitment and retention, and people have to start to look at their property as something that can be used for recruitment and retention.
We need to keep bringing that up too.
You can't say it too many times. No, it really just has to continue to happen. The other thing you can't say too many times is to vote yes on 28 for arts and music. We're going to say that every week until 28 passes, which is not going to raise your taxes. It's just going to take some specific money out of the Prop 98 money that's collected in California, and make sure that the arts and music isn't always last, right? Right now, they're last to be funded and first to be cut.
Yeah.
Totally unfair. That's why this measure exists.
Good.
That's it. And so that's our weekly reminder until we have
the election.
The election in November. All right, our best practices. First one comes from San Diego County Office of Education, and that's their approach to educator pathways. Another teacher, we're all focused on teachers in their county. So what they've done is coalesce put in one place, in one hub, all of the options to become an educator that exist in San Diego County, as opposed to just having them live within each of the districts within the county. Right. And that's a very smart move on the county's part. Right. And also then to coordinate and celebrate the new educators that they're growing in San Diego County, which is also an expensive county to live in.
Yep. Yep.
Right. Second one is tutoring. And there are many new approaches, but the fact of the matter is, whatever your approach is, whether you're going to do it, and you can do tutoring now, there's an organization called Paper, but the tutoring is not actually on paper. Their tutoring is actually online. And there are a number of different organizations that you can look to or volunteer with to become a tutor. You can become a tutor either online, or you can become a tutor in person and become a volunteer in a school and tutor there. But tutoring does work because all of the components are there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. They're pushing that. That's really good. That's a good idea.
It is. It makes it, and it really does make a lot of sense. And so people need to. It's not that it's new, but what the new part is that there are now organizations where you could be anywhere in the United States and sign up and become a tutor to a student anywhere in the United States, because everybody, right, after the pandemic, everybody has the connection, or many more people have the ability to be tutored online.
Yeah. It's organized now.
It's organized, right? And all the expectations around it, all the reasons to not do that go away, because look, here we all are right here.
Yep.
I wanted to just talk a little bit about privatization and vouchers, the voucher world. Of course, all of that is continuing to march forward, particularly Texas. There are now recent articles around some oil tycoons spending millions of dollars to gut public education in Texas. But it's being gutted all over the country. It's just such a major attack on public education. And what they do is just simply transfer the money that our nation has historically given to educate children in public schools, make that money available to everybody, to anybody, right? And basically then there is no public school left.
Yeah.
But the funding for that is coming from two oil tycoons in Texas. It's also very much happening in Arizona and Florida, of course, and a whole variety of states. I know. Okay, so all right, so then I'm gonna get to our updates about some people we've talked about and things that have updates on their circumstances. And the first one is Mandy Gutierrez, who is the principal at Uvalde, who had been put on, well, she'd been suspended, I believe, because of the tremendous confusion after the tragedy at Uvalde and concerns about her actions. But ultimately, an attorney stepped in and pointed out that Ms. Gutierrez essentially followed the training that the district provided her, which shows us that there is great room for improvement in training.
Absolutely. Oh gosh. I mean, the many mistakes that happened is just incredible. So yeah,
it is. It is.
She was told. She followed what she had been told.
Right. When she was asked, why didn't you get on the intercom and tell people to lock down or lock their doors? She was able to point to and prove that she was trained to do otherwise.
Yeah.
So how training is conducted, it's complicated. It takes time. People have to put it together thoughtfully, but obviously there were times when you can't just say, well, I automatically will never go on the intercom, because in her circumstance, it probably would have been helpful.
So she got her job back and she got a promotion.
She got a promotion.
Yeah, so now she's at the district level. So
she's at the district level on working as a deputy director of special ed. Yep. And that's where Ms. Gutierrez is now. Let's go to what you've been doing, and then I'll get to the brilliant ideas.
Yeah, today was Institute Day at the county Office of Education, and all the employees get together before school. I think some of them have started already, but most of them haven't. I remember we used to do that here in West Contra Costa a long time ago, but stop.
People, there have been different strategies around that. It just depends on the district. Some districts have always done it. Some districts have never done it. Some districts, when they do it, the question is, sometimes teachers get annoyed that this is their planning day and they don't want to take it away.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different approaches.
Well, this one was very good. It was there was a breakfast and games and recognition of people, their years in service, and then there was a motivational speaker, and his name was Kevin Bracy, Bracy, and he's a miracle, is what he is, because what he came from, the abuse, and it was just some of the things you just can't believe it. That he's gone through, and then where he is now, and he played baseball professionally for a little while, and he just flourished when it came to school, because he attributes that to every school staff and personnel that gave him a smile, that encouraged him, that and he felt great by the end of the school day. Then he had to go home, and so it was just so much. He's from Sacramento, and he went to the community college, and then he ended up going to college, and so now he's a motivational speaker, and he's wonderful. He got everybody jazzed up using a lot of music that we all related to, and it was fun. It was just a lot of fun and very uplifting. So I'm
gonna post a YouTube of a 47-minute presentation he gave to the school district in Monterey, so that everybody watching this, if you want to get to see Mr. Bracy, just click on that link.
Teachers love him because he really attributes everything to the love he got from schools and school staff. And the unions were there. I was got my t-shirt and supporting them, the teachers, as always. So it was a very good day. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was a very good day. And
okay, so now I will give our very brilliant idea. This is an idea from the Hawaiian Islands. And so I was in Hawaii last week. And one of the things that's going on there is there's a dispute over a telescope on the top of Mauna Kea mountain, on a volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii. And it occurred to me, just from the standpoint of what we talk about here, that the tension is there's a tension between the community who are advocating for and supporting the continuation and the growth of the cultural heritage of the island and of the mountain, and it's between them and looking at the mountain as a cultural sacred site, and the scientific community, the astronomical community. And there are two very separate groups that the governor is trying to, the government, and now they're about to have a new governor, that they want to bring together and resolve. But one way that I think people need to look at, and I think every school district and state education system could look at, is how you choose to educate around the science of your place, of where you are. And there they are in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and they're there because of their navigational and astronomical skill sets that their ancestors had. And yet they don't actually teach an emphasis on astronomy in their schools, whereas they could. So that the astronomers in this lab are not Hawaiians. they're people, from other places. Whereas you could grow your astronomers in Hawaii. So that's my brilliant idea. I think we should teach astronomy from pre-K to 12 in Hawaii, and that everybody who is in Hawaii understands and has had 12 years of astronomy with a cultural context for it.
That's wonderful. That's a brilliant idea. It it that connects STEM and also ethnic studies. So let's put that
Exactly.
together. That's what
The
it is.
perfect connection, right? It's the
Yes,
perfect model for that.
beautiful.
That's it. So that's an idea that I did present it to somebody who's running for office. And now I'm going to present it, and I told her that we need to share it out with everybody. It doesn't have to be, but I think she's going to talk about it because it gave her something to talk about in her race.
Yes, that's wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, but I think it needs to be the kind of thing that the governor is aware of. These are decisions, and the decision not to do it. That's what they're right now. They're just not doing it. Well, why don't they do it? Right? Why don't they do it? And I think it could even be part of the conversation around Mauna Kea as they're coming to a resolution. Maybe I'll send it to them too. That really one of the things they should ask for, that should be easy, of all the things they're trying to negotiate, is to have all of our children have this kind of a background, understand astronomy, and as well as our culture.
Perfect.
So that's
Good. Sounds good.
that's a brilliant idea. And then the other two things I have two sets of heroes here, big shout outs. And the first one is the library hero. The first one is to Amanda Jones. Amanda Jones is the president of the Library Association in Louisiana. And Amanda Jones has decided to not be a victim of the Proud Boys and these other groups of people who are attacking her and censoring the books in her libraries. So she has, because she is a librarian who has books that present a positive view of LGBTQ families and children, she's been called a pedophile on various websites. So now she's suing them.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so and honestly, up until now, she's gotten the news because she was the first one to be that proactive and not just to take it and be a victim of them. And that is what has to happen. So Amanda Jones, good for you.
Good for you. Yep.
And the second one is to Mia Bonta and Buffy Wicks, who are both members of the California legislature and represent Oakland, among other communities in the East Bay. And they have a new bill, AB 1912. And AB 1912 is a response to Oakland Unified School Board's decision not to follow a resolution that they had passed, where it was their reparations resolution, where they promised not to close schools without doing an economic and cultural, really racial impact study. And what we're really saying here is, before let's call it out that we're deciding to close schools that are predominantly black and brown and predominantly low income. Let's call it out, because what we're trying to say when you made a commitment to the reparations resolution is that you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right. They had signed this and passed the resolution, and within a very short period of time, they basically waived that part of the resolution and went ahead and closed them.
Oh my gosh.
So now
Okay.
their legislators, Ms. Wicks and Ms. Bonta, have joined together and put AB 1912 in, which will in fact say that everybody in California who's going to close a school needs to look at that impact.
Yeah. So our call to action is support this Email,
AB 1912.
email, call, do what you can to support.
Do what you can and join us in celebrating Miss Bonta and Miss Wicks for actually doing this.
Absolutely. Good for
Because
them.
this is where you can take action. Because if that passes, then you have to go back to that board, and that board cannot continue on its path to close all these schools without calling it out, saying, yes, well, look at this, we're going to vote. We know all these things and we're going to vote to do it anyway. Well, let's put it out there.
Yep.
Put it out.
Very good.
And that's it. That's it for this week.
All right.
So we'll all see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe and like and follow.